I'm making this video kind of after another video. I have to batch record, and it's really hot outside, so don't judge me if I have to, like, you know, blot, because it's 90 degrees according to my watch. Hey, so I'm getting my devices together because I'm going to try to share as much of the wealth as I can about getting ready for Comlex Level 1. So if you want to hear more about that, I hope you guys stay tuned and enjoy this video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up down at the bottom. Don't forget to share this with somebody. You never know who this could help reach. Don't forget the most important thing, subscribe to my channel. If you subscribe, you won't miss another video and you'll know what's going on. And you'll be able to go back and watch some of my old videos and see like the journey to this point. And comment down below questions, support, encouragement, whatever you feel like saying. So let's get to it. I hope you guys enjoy. Alrighty, so this video is going to be set almost a year after this. I know y'all are like, how does she remember? I honestly do remember a lot of this experience. I'm not going into, of course, like, oh, I remember I woke up, I ate breakfast, I did work out, I ate, you know, healthy, I took care of myself, I slept, I did all those things. So self-care is of the utmost importance. Don't think you should go through this journey and not take care of yourself. But I am doing this almost a year later because I really wanted to take the time to reflect, you know, make sure I really had a good perspective, and took a few more other exams by that same company, basically by the same administrators, because I've taken standardized exams all throughout the year, and you will see those in my COMAT series that'll come. I'm speaking that into existence. But yeah, I hope this really helps you guys with your plan, and I will see y'all later in the video. First of all, a lot of this is about leading up to the exam, those first 2 years. Some of y'all, it might be the first 3 years of medical school, which would be a blessing to get through some of your clinical experience and actually take your exam then. But anyways, it's a lot about your first 2 years, probably more so second year. First year is a lot of things you might not see as frequently on the exam, but it is an all-day exam, like working a shift. They have modified level 2 recently. Soon they may modify level 1 to be less questions, but right now it's a 400 question exam that you have 8 hours to take. You have to be able to manage your own time. So if you have problems with time management, my advice is to practice time questions as much as you can in the blocks that are related. So that would be like, you know, doing 50 question blocks and making sure you're finishing in the right amount of time. But at the end of the day, questions are important, questions are key, and content is key. Kind of can't do one without the other. You have to know the test, you have to know your beast, you have to know what you're trying to defeat, you have to know what you're trying to accomplish. Because if you don't know anything about the test, you can't just show up and expect to be able to do well unless you're like not me, which is like some other kind of genius. So this is all my experience, my lessons learned, and I hope this really helps. And on the exam, if you need any more information just about the exam as a whole, you want to go on the website. It's ndome.org. There's a blueprint that's easy to follow, and that really will help lead and guide your studies. If you're like me, you also should look into programs. So we use these things called ComSaves, and those are basically exams that are administered by the actual test writers that you're able to purchase, or your school will purchase for you, to kind of see where you are. You can't review these exams, you can't like study from them per se unless you just have like a photographic memory, but they're not recorded. You can't like, you know, write everything down because your time is just like the real test, it's just half. So it's a 4-hour exam, or you're allotted 4 hours to take the exam. So those kind of give you an idea of where you are, and you can see where you're scoring. You can see your weaker areas. You can see how much time you really need to spend in dedicated. Schools offer different lengths of time for dedicated, so that's, you know, up to you. But if you need to take extra time, that's completely fine. I was a student who actually was able to delay. I did delay my exam to pass successfully on the first time, and I think that was one of the best decisions I ever could have made, and honestly it worked out. I don't think it made a big difference in the end, ultimately in the long run, because now I am taking my level 2 board exam with a lot of people. So it's not really like the end of the world if you have to delay, or don't feel like, oh my gosh, I can't take my test with the rest of the class. It's not a big deal. Now, of course, if you get past the point of being able to graduate on time, you do want to evaluate those things, but it's better to pass the exam the first try than to try to rush and take it and you're not ready, because that shows a sign of maturity and a sign of, you know, retrospect and true reflection and understanding of yourself and where you are and what you need to do to improve. So as long as you know where you need to start and where you're going, that's important. So I would recommend looking into board review programs. What I did is a program called the PASS program. I will link that down below. And I actually was able to meet the person that founded the program, teaches for the program, is over the program. And he really inspired me. He really, he gave a lot of insight, and he made it not just like learning in lecture, because for me, honestly, lecture didn't work. It didn't teach me well. I had to use a lot of outside resources to learn the information throughout school to successfully pass my school exam. So I didn't think that, you know, just studying on my own or trying to learn it the same way I already learned it was really gonna work. So I was a part of the PASS program live online. There is an in-person option, a live online option, and an on-demand option. I would highly recommend the live online or the in-person. The on-demand is kind of more self-paced, self-taught, and I think it's good to review, or it's good for, like, you know, like just kind of throughout the year studying, like on your own time. But if you're really going into your dedicated, I would recommend something that's structured, that you have to be disciplined, and that you're able to ask questions instantly about. So I did the live online PASS program, and it worked out for me. Like, I passed successfully. I did supplement with Pathoma, and I went through Pathoma I think in about 2 weeks, and I went through Sketchy Micro in about 2 weeks. So I did use Pathoma already annotated. So I finished the annotation of my Pathoma book, and I was able to just kind of review it during my dedicated for 2 weeks, and then I went through all the Sketchy Micro videos, because I know there is Sketchy Micro, pathology, and pharmacology so far. And for me personally, I had to decide like which one I wanted to use, and I decided to use Micro. Some people use all of them, but I'm just telling you what I did. So this is what worked best for me to allow me to pass, but I can't say it's foolproof for everybody. But at the end of the day, nothing is foolproof for everybody. I just know what worked for me. Questions. We're gonna talk about questions. So question banks are a must. For me, for the COMLEX, this is probably very controversial, but I didn't use UWorld. I do know people that didn't use UWorld, and I know people that did use UWorld and did fine. So I'm not gonna say it's mandatory. I'm not gonna say you have to use it. I did not intend on taking both exams, because a lot of osteopathic students do take both the COMLEX and the USMLE, but I didn't intend to take both. So I was like, I'm just gonna, you know, be in the game for this one test, because the questions are structured a little differently. At times they're asked differently, and sometimes the answer may be a little different. Of course, the basic science and the fundamentals don't change, but sometimes with our philosophy as osteopathic medical students, an answer might be a little different. So I wanted to make sure I was very versed in that area, because our philosophy, you know, it's holistic. It's treating the whole patient, mind, body, spirit. We have our tenets and things like that. And one day I'll make a video definitely all about osteopathic medicine. Comment down below if you're excited about seeing that. I hope y'all are. But anyways, back to the test. It's definitely important to make sure you're focused on what you're trying to do. So yeah, I used 2 question banks, and they were COMBank, which is also known as TrueLearn, and I used ComQuest. And there were plenty of questions. I don't think I made a full pass, 1 pass, but I did not repeat. But I would recommend, if you're able to start early, like in your school year, go ahead and start early with those question banks, even if it's doing like 5 questions a day, 5 questions a week, whatever you can fit in. Because I've learned over this past year, taking standardized exams almost monthly, that being able to repeat your incorrects is really, really helpful. Of course, you can't just, I wasn't able to just go in with no knowledge and no information and just do questions, you know. But once I had a foundation, you know, and I kind of knew a lot of things that were already going on, but there were maybe some weak areas. It was okay if I just did questions on those, because I could spend more time on that question response. And I made sure I would I did all my questions on tutor mode. I would put it on tutor mode. Sometimes I would do blocks. Sometimes I would just add as many questions. Sometimes I would only add like a short amount. It just depended. But I do know this is kind of like a common thing that people do in general, reading the last question. So that's how I approach my questions. I read the last sentence, which tells you what you're looking for, because it's like you know what you're going back to pay attention to in the prompt. So I would start there, and then once I selected my answer, kind of like in my head, I would kind of select the answers that kind of fit. And then whenever I was reviewing, I would review it right then, because I wanted to be able to remember my mindset and what I was thinking about at the time, you know. So I went ahead and did that, and I would typically, of course, look at the right answer like I said. Then I would go ahead and look at the explanation for the answer I put if it was wrong, so I could know exactly why I was wrong instantly, and then go through and read the rest of the explanation. Sometimes it helps to take like a little notebook. I actually have one going now for another exam I'm studying for, and just writing down, like, you know, what I need to know from that, like what I missed. And I typically would do that on the second pass. So if I missed it again, clearly it's just not clicking, or it's just something, you know, I haven't studied well enough. So I would recommend writing it down, and that's how I typically structure questions. Another thing I really think is important with the questions, if you can, try to find people to do questions with, because I know for me, it really helps to be able to discuss questions. In our program, we were able to discuss questions together, which was always helpful. So discussing as well as doing them on your own, you know, timed or whatever, tutor mode, however you need to do to study them, but also just doing a few, at least, not every day, but you know, as much as you can with other people is also a great tip. I also wanted to talk about this thing called Cram Fighter. So Cram Fighter was something I used that really helped me whenever I did my Pathoma and Sketchy, I guess, cram session, basically. Like, I did 2 weeks, so it basically told me how many videos to watch and what videos to watch each day, because I'm a planner. And I think that's almost the second to last thing. I'm going to wrap this video up soon, and I'm going to talk about one last thing. So this is going to be really big. Pick a resource. Don't try to use 6 different resources. If you need a different way to study renal, that's fine. You can use a different resource, but do not try to study Kaplan, Past Program, First Aid, Princeton Review. I don't even know if they do that for med school. But anyways, I know there's so many options, but you have to pick one. Please pick one. Don't spread yourself too thin, because it won't help you solidify the information trying to use multiple resources when you can dedicate to one, supplement as needed, and modify as needed. For me, I had to learn pharm one way. I had to learn pulmonology a different way. Like, the respiratory systems are sometimes different, so you have to figure out what's the best way. And I would say apply that with your books. Everybody uses First Aid. Our school gave us First Aid. They were really nice, and that's a blessing. So, like, get your First Aid, spiral bound it, and have that as a reference. And if you can use it as you go throughout your first and second year, it'll really help, because you'll be seeing that for the umpteenth time. And I know a lot of students are able to use a method that is highly, you know, highly understood, and y'all can find that on here easy. If you have any questions, I tried to be detailed but not too lengthy, and I really hope this helps. A quick recap, I just want to talk about, you know, the main things I talked about. Knowing the test. You got to know that exam. You got to know that beast. And just remember, it's a beast you can conquer. Definitely using question banks. I talked about my experience with a board review program as well as delaying. And I also talked about picking a resource, like, you know, narrowing it down, and just what I did to pass my COMLEX on the first time, COMLEX level 1. I really hope this helps DO students out there. I know we can get on YouTube, and I appreciate every single video I find that helps, but I did want to see more for our exam. I know that there are a lot of us out there, and there's going to be a lot of us in the future, so I really hope this helps you all, and I really appreciate y'all watching. Thanks, best wishes, many blessings. Please reach out to me if you just need anything. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch y'all at a later date on another video.